City of Tempe Housing Authority quarterly meeting at the Harry E. Mitchell Government Center. It's Tuesday, November 9th. The time is now 5:55 p.m. Members of the public attending this meeting, members of the public attending this meeting physically are asked to maintain distance between other parties, and masks are required for all attendees per City of Tempe policy. Alternatively, members of the public may attend the meeting virtually through Cisco WebEx events by visiting tempe.gov/clerk for more information. Housing Authority meetings can also be watched in real time via Cox Cable Channel 11 and at tempe.gov/tempe11. Since we are holding this meeting in a hybrid in-person virtual format, of course, please be patient if we encounter any technical issues. Item number 1 is the call to the audience. The Housing Authority Board welcomes public comment at this time, only for items listed on the agenda, and there is a 3-minute time limit per speaker. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak?
Mayor, this is Carla, City Clerk. I'm not sure if we were hearing me in chambers earlier, but we have no speaker cards for tonight.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much. All right, we're gonna move on to item number 2 then, approval of City of Tempe Housing Authority meeting minutes for August 5th, 2021. Is there a motion?
Second.
Okay, moved by Board Member Garland and seconded by Board Member Cubey. I'm gonna go ahead and take, actually, I'll do a roll call, be easier. Councilmember Garland? Let's see, is Jack on? No, he's right here. Oh, is there? Oh, there he is. Hey, Jack. Oh, sorry, I was confused. He does? Okay. All right, sounds good. All right, then I will just simply take the roll call for the members at home. Okay, so let's do this. And for some reason, my screen is not working. That's not good. Okay. Mine's not working. So I will go ahead and I'm going to vote aye. Vice Mayor Keating?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Keating, you there?
Yes.
Okay, sounds good. That item passes 7-0.
8-0.
8-0. Excuse me. Correct, thank you. Sorry, a lot going on over here. All right, next up here, item number 3, approval of City of Tempe Housing Authority executive session minutes for November 12th, 2020. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Board Member Cubey. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Board Member Navarro. Please vote. And that motion passes 8-0. Next up, item number 4, Housing Authority Governing Board quarterly update for the quarter ended September 30th, 2021. And I'm going to go ahead and call upon LaVon Lamy for an update. LaVon.
Good evening, Housing Authority Governing Board. My name is LaVon Lamy. I'm one of the Deputy Directors for Human Services, specifically assigned to housing. So the purpose for tonight's meeting is to provide the Housing Authority Governing Board with an updates on the activities of the Public Housing Authority for the quarter ended and through the quarter ended September 30th, 2021. We're also going to discuss the home ARPA funding and the PHA consultation requirement, along with provide an update on the Hometown for All activities with unit leasing and funding. For our current base operations, there is a total of $15,168,736 available to support the full funding of the 1,216 vouchers that have been allocated through HUD to the City of Tempe Public Housing Authority. At this time, we are utilizing all available funds, and 100% of the funding has been allocated to support a maximum number of vouchers. We currently have processed over 1,200 applications for assistance this calendar year. We currently have over 300 folks who are in process and 180 some odd, and I'm sorry the number just slipped, who are currently out looking for units as we speak. So we are working with them quite frequently. We have also increased our payment standard for the second time this year in order to keep up with market rents. We have also, as we had previously been presented, we have been awarded a renewal of the Family Self-Sufficiency Grant to fund the Family Self-Sufficiency Coordinator. With this year's grant application, we have submitted for 1.5 full-time Family Self-Sufficiency Coordinators in order to be able to expand this program. This is the first time in many years that we have been able to apply to expand our Family Self-Sufficiency Coordinator positions. So we should hear sometime in late December or early January if we were successful in that grant application. For the additional programming that it still is housing, but not specifically Public Housing Authority, our Bridge and Bridge 2 programs that we ran in conjunction with the regional behavioral health authorities, those programs through Access have been moved into a statewide housing administrator to make Access housing more uniform statewide instead of jurisdiction to jurisdiction. We did absorb all the current, all current participants on the Tempe programs before we release those vouchers back to behavioral health. We do continue to work with behavioral health and Access and other regional partners for ways that we can continue that and move forward. Our home TBRA project, which as part of the COVID response, we had reallocated all home funding to provide rental subsidy assistance. That is all, that $1,464,000 has been allocated and is allocated for rental assistance. We will fully utilize that funding before its expiration. So moving into the Public Housing Authority nonprofit affiliate and the joint programmatic activity, we wanted to let the Housing Authority Board know that the Housing Authority is working with the city on a temporary transitional housing project, which will create 40 units of temporary transitional housing. We will be looking to use that currently and in the future. At some point within the next 5 years, we will be proposing that this be redeveloped into a higher density site after the appropriate RFP process has gone out through the city. For the affiliate units, we do have, all of our units are currently leased. None of the units are under renovation. Actually, we have one that we're finishing the renovation on that will be done next week, but that's it. We're done with our renovations for those. So those are fully leased. At this time, because that does have to be a self-sufficient program, we have $150,000 in cash, plus or minus, that is specifically restricted for repair, maintenance, and the capital needs of this, in excess of our currently scheduled capital needs and repairs. Just as a refresher for anyone who is not familiar with the funding structure of this, the first year of rental for these units, 100% of all net proceeds are put in savings and earmarked for the continued operation of the units. 20% of net proceeds are put in every year thereafter. So we have a continual funding stream in order to maintain these units and keep them moving forward. As a housing authority project and coordination with the city through our nonprofit affiliate, the Hometown for All initiative, which was a city council initiative, is designed to provide produce and protect affordable and workforce housing. These funds are specifically restricted. They can only be used for the acquisition of land for assemblage of larger projects, acquisition of workforce rental units, which would be permanently affordable units. There are deed restrictions and covenants put in place to ensure the AMI limits on those units. There is funding that is pooled until a dollar value of $1 million has been achieved, at which point a NOFA will be put out for developers to respond to in order to incentivize and/or buy down the cost of workforce or affordable housing development. At this time, it's anticipated that that is $2 to $4 million per year in dedicated funding in order to support these activities. As this worksheet shows, there has been, since this was approved in January of this year, there's a little over $6 million worth of funding that has either cash has been received, funds have been provided in lieu of actual cash to support the development of affordable housing, or pledges and commitments where we are pending the receipt of cash. We do update this as cash is brought in. We'll move it from the commitments line up to the cash received line, but overall it's a little over $6 million so far this year. As additional update on the activity, We did bring in an additional housing navigator, which has made a significant difference in being able to assist not only housing participants, but city residents in their search for units that are affordable for them. So that is actually working very well with the second. We are going to pilot the second position for another year if we're able to maintain the effectiveness that we've been able to have shown through the last 2 years with our one full-time housing navigator. We may propose to expand to 3 because we do have ever-increasing need for assistance with folks looking for affordable units. As part of the American Rescue Plan Act, the HOME program did have funding that was allocated. Tempe's allocation is approximately $2 million. We are a member of the Maricopa County Home Consortia with every jurisdiction in the county except the city of Phoenix and the city of Mesa. So we all do work within the same rough timelines. These funds are specifically restricted primarily for affordable housing. As we're working through the consolidated plan amendment and the regulatory requirements and public comment periods, we will be coming back to the Housing Authority Board and to the Tempe City Council because this legislation does require that the Housing Authority consult with the participating jurisdiction. For the city of Tempe, it just so happens that the Housing Authority and the participating jurisdiction are administered by Housing Services. That does conclude the presentation. If anyone had any questions or needed additional information, we'll be happy to provide it.
Thank you, Levon. I have one quick question. How do we follow up with people who have committed pledges but haven't actually deposited the money yet?
So, it's actually a very good question. For Chair Woods, that's a very good question. We do look at that as we're preparing for the quarterly board meeting. We also look at when that pledge was made, and we do check what the status of that project is. As projects are moving forward, we do have some reminder postcards that we send out, just as a gentle nudge to folks that they made that pledge or commitment.
Sounds good, thank you. Yes, Councilmember Cubey.
Thanks, Levon. Thank you for the thorough presentation. And just so I can keep in my head, how many homes do we now own through the affiliate?
Board Member Cubey, we are just over 100 units for the affiliate.
That's
at
easy to
this
remember.
time.
And then the actual apartments, because there are some apartments as well? Or is,
I do not remember the exact blend of apartments versus, we have apartments, we have condos, we have
so 100.
townhouses, and we have single-family dwellings. We have intentionally picked up a mix of units because, we have one-bedroom, 525 square foot. We have two-bedroom townhouses that are about 900 square feet. We have some single-family homes that the city was kind enough to donate into the affiliate that are 5-bedroom, 3-bathrooms for our larger families, and we have some 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom single families. So we've kind of made a point to span the gamut of units so that the appropriate unit is available for the household.
Fantastic. So 100 is a good number to keep in mind.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's growing every day. Thank you.
Every day.
Excellent. Thank you, Board Member Cubey. Any other?
Just for
Board Member Adams?
Yeah, just for clarification, 100 as you described all of those, right? 100
Yes, ma'am.
Total is, okay, just,
Yes.
I want to make sure I was clear on it. Thank you so much. Let's keep it going.
Excellent, thank you. Anyone else? Comments or questions? All right, well, this item is only for information only. Anyone on the phone, just to make sure? All right, hearing none. Levon, great job as always. Really appreciate the updates, and we're good.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work. All right. With that, the Housing Authority meeting is adjourned at 6:09 p.m. You want to take a minute to switch over? Like 30 seconds. You got it, absolutely. I could use 30 seconds.
Stay right here, Mayor.
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Tempe City Council regular council meeting in the Harry E. Mitchell Government Center for Tuesday, November 9th, 2021. The time is now 6:11 p.m. Members of the public attending this meeting physically are asked to maintain distance between other parties, and masks are required for all attendees, per City of Tempe policy. Alternatively, members of the public may attend the meeting virtually through Cisco WebEx events by visiting tempe.gov/clerk for more information. Council meetings can also be watched in real time via Cox Cable Channel 11 and at tempe.gov/tempe11. Since we are holding this council meeting in a hybrid in-person virtual format, please be patient if we encounter any technical issues. Next up here, we have item number 1, which is a moment of silence. Can we take a second to have a moment of silence? Thank you so much. All right, next up, for all those who are willing and able to stand, please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, tonight we're moving on to item number 3, meeting minutes. Tonight I'm going to be assisted by Councilmember Cubie. Councilmember Cubie.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Move to approve meeting minutes 3A1 and 2, approval of city council meeting minutes.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Cubie to approve the meeting minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Garland. Let's go back to the screens to vote here. All right, Vice Mayor Keating? Oh, there we go. And Councilmember Navarro?
Aye.
Okay, that motion passes 7-0.
Move to approve items 3B1 through 9, acceptance of board, commission, and committee meeting minutes.
And actually, is it 3B1 through 16?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, the next page. Yes, 3B1 through 16, Mr. Mayor.
Perfect, sounds good, thank you. Do I have a second? Seconded by Councilmember Garland, please vote. And Vice Mayor Keating? All right, and that motion passes unanimously 7-0. Next up here, we have item 4A, Mayor's Reports and Announcements. 1 is our equal pay designation for Tempe Trophy. Today we're here to celebrate our newest equal pay business partner, otherwise known as Tempe Trophy, who completed the second pillar of our Equal Pay for Equal Work initiative. Tempe Trophy is a family-owned and operated company representing 3 generations of expertise in the awards industry. Tempe Trophy has been creating awards and products of the finest quality for more than 30 years. They have been honored by the Awards and Recognition Association, nominated by the Tempe Chamber for its Business Excellence Award, and awarded an Outstanding Supplier Award by Isogenics. Is Jason Hood, the Tempe Trophy owner, available? Please, do you want to offer any remarks, or?
Yeah, I would just like to really
Come on down, as they say on The Price is Right.
where do you want me? Sit in the chair. All right.
Nice shirt.
Well, thank you. So I just wanted to express my gratitude for the city to try to recognize things like this, because I feel like if we don't make an effort, then we don't realize the changes that are afoot. And I think that the other thing that goes along with that, whatever you try to measure is what ends up growing or changing. And I appreciate this award. I tried to convince my mom to accept this instead of me, because like I feel like I am the recipient of a legacy that is not mine. You know, Tempe Trophy was actually started by a family friend of mine who in the 80s, as an openly gay, man, it was, very difficult for him. And, my own family owned a competing company in Phoenix, and we ended up, with me at the helm of this company. And I think of my grandma who, came to Arizona without a high school diploma and with 3 kids, and a single mother who became a successful entrepreneur and, pillar of the community. And I think about these powerful women in my life that have shaped me. And there's a quote that I really like. It's actually from Dr. Kelly Harding. She wrote the book, The Rabbit Effect, in which she's a researcher, and she talks about different things that affect your daily life. And when she was talking about the work environment, one of the things that she pointed out is that oftentimes you overlook people who don't fit the mold that you're looking for. And I think about one of our key employees. She happens to be my friend's mom. And when all of her kids were out of the house, she approached me and she's like, hey, I need, I'm interested in doing something. She had been out of the workforce for 30 years and she had no experience in the field or, in engraving. It's very niche, but like she was someone that I knew from personal experience that was, the kind of person that could get things done. And she is one of our most valuable employees, but on paper, she doesn't fit the mold. She doesn't fit the mold of being a graphic designer, somebody who's good with technology and all these things. But at the same time, she brings a dedication and a wisdom that I can't find in today's ASU graduates. And like, she's a mentor and she's a powerhouse, and she happens to be a woman. But that doesn't matter. I feel it's, if we can look at trying to hire and staff based on skill level and what people bring to the table, we'll have greater success in like all of our endeavors, whether it's, in the private sector or here at the city. So thank you. We appreciate your time.
Excellent. Thank you, Jason. Really appreciate it. Congratulations. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, next up here, we have item 4B, which is City Manager's Reports and Announcements. Mr. City Manager?
Mr. Mayor, I just want to make sure I thought you had one more, 4A2.
It's been told me that the item was postponed.
Oh, okay, my mistake.
Yep.
Thank you so much. I am very pleased to make this next announcement. Every single resident in Tempe, regardless of their abilities, should be able to enjoy the amenities and services that are available in this great city. That's why our commitment to inclusiveness and accessibility remains so strong. Today, I'm very pleased to announce that 6 Tempe locations have been designated as certified autism centers. This is a prestigious status that we share with only a handful of other locations across the valley. The locations include Tempe Public Library, Kiwanis Park, Kiwanis Recreation Center, Tempe History Museum, the Edna Weil Art Center, and Tempe Town Lake. All 6 locations went through a vigorous training and certification process led by the International Board of Credentialing and Continuing Education Standards. This is a special accomplishment because it means we are living out one of our core values, which is to welcome everyone. And we are excited for the next phase as we work to certify even more Tempe locations in the coming years. I'd like to give a special thanks to Keith Burke and Samantha Mason for the tremendous work that was done on this project. It is your dedication that makes this possible. Now I'd like to introduce a very special guest. He's one of our adaptive recreation participants and is much better equipped to explain why this certification is so important. He's here with his amazing parents, Roger and Joan, who also volunteer for our program. So without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce Kai Sample.
Kai, just wanted to say, it's good to see you again. I know Councilmember Arredondo Savage had an opportunity and I to meet you a couple of weeks back, and you gave such a fantastic speech. We are so happy to have you actually make it at a formal council meeting, so it's just good to see you. And we're also glad to see you happily sporting the Tempe sesquicentennial tie. So we love that. So with that said, I'll go ahead and stop, and the floor is yours.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kai Sample, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to speak to you at today's council meeting. I was diagnosed with autism at 2 years old. Throughout my journey, I have worked through the struggles and challenges of autism. I have been able to discover who I am and how special that is. I'm not just a man with autism, of course. I love wearing great suits and ties and always looking my best. I also love cooking and plan to become a barber someday. I currently attend Success University, which is part of the Tempe Union High School District, and I am an athlete with the Tempe Adaptive Recreation and the Special Olympics of Arizona. After school and on weekends, I love getting involved with Tai Chi, Zumba, basketball, bowling, volleyball, powerlifting, kayaking, and soccer. Tempe Adaptive Recreation is really important to me. It introduces me to a lot of these activities. Through adaptive recreation, I have also participated in programs like LEAP, Camp Challenge, and the Law Enforcement Torch Run with the Guardians of Light and the Tempe Police Department. I also participated in Special Olympics swimming at the Kiwanis Recreation Center. I have been with the Tempe Hawks since 2017. The swimming program is special for me because I get to participate with my dad, who is involved as a coach. I feel really lucky when we get to swim together. All these opportunities have helped me make a lot of great friends and encourage me to be more involved in the community. I'm very proud of all the things that I've accomplished. Without these activities, I would be bored, lonely, and would not have tried so many new things. I would not have made so many new friends, and I would not have the many opportunities as I have. Participating in activities with the City of Tempe has meant a lot to me because I've learned about working together as a team, and that my autism is not a barrier, but an incredible part of the man that I am proud to be today. I'm someone who is brave, kind, and a person who wants to make other people smile. Tempe is not just a place for activities for me. It has truly become my community. Thank you. Have a great evening and stay kind.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I know that Kai and his family would love to take a picture with all of you. Maybe if you want to come down and.
No, come in. Come on in, right here. There it is.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Let's do another one. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Great.
Great to see you. Absolutely.
Nice job.
Thank you, man.
Thank you so much for coming today. Yeah. Thanks for sharing them.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, can I have a word? Mr. Mayor, can I just say something?
Yes, that's Councilmember Cubey.
So that was just a wonderful moment, but I just want to bring attention to Councilmember Robin Arredondo Savage, because all of your work over your, 12 years, 11 years at City Council, you've done so much to advance adaptive recreation, and I'm just so proud of all the work that you've done.
Thank you, Councilmember Cubey. All right, next up here, we have item 5, public appearances. At the October 14th regular city council meeting, the council approved amendments to their rules of procedure related to public comment at council meetings. Specifically, the council now allows public comment at the beginning of each council meeting for up to 60 minutes, with an additional public comment session at the end of the meeting for up to 60 minutes. This change was a recommendation from the Equity in Action Community Initiative as an effort to improve community engagement by offering a more flexible schedule for allowing public comment at meetings. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the city council? And if so, please come forward and state your name and city of residence for the record. All right, seeing none. Madam Clerk, are there any comment cards that you have?
Mayor, I received no electronic submissions for tonight's meeting.
Okay, sounds good. That'll move us to item number 6, which is the consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda will be considered as a group and will be enacted with one motion by the city council unless an item is removed for separate consideration. Members of the public may remove public hearing items for separate consideration. Public hearing items are also designated by an asterisk. Council members may remove any item for separate consideration or to declare a conflict of interest. If a council member would like to declare a conflict at this time, the city clerk will provide the council member with a disclosure form. Also, for the audience, if you wish to speak on a public hearing item, please fill out a speaker card located next to the city clerk and submit your completed card back to the city clerk prior to the agenda item coming forward for council discussion. And I will call your name when it's time for public comment. So the consent agenda this evening is miscellaneous items 6A1 through 6A7, awards of bids and contracts, items 6B1 through 6B17, and resolutions, items 6C1 through 6C12. Any item marked with an asterisk is a public hearing item and can be removed by a member of the public for separate consideration. If anyone would like to have a public hearing item removed, please get my attention now. All right, Madam Clerk, I'm going to ask you as well, were there any comments received from the public wishing to address the city council on a consent agenda public hearing item?
There are none, Mayor.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to pull 7C7.
Okay, that's on the non-consent, so no, we're good. So we are good. Okay, so hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Moved by Councilmember Garland. Do I have a second? Seconded by Councilmember Adams. Please vote. There we go. Let's see. Vice Mayor Keating? Councilmember Navarro?
Aye.
Okay, and
Aye.
okay, and that item passes 7-0. Next up, we have item number 7, the non-consent agenda. All items listed on the non-consent agenda will be considered separately. Agenda items scheduled for introduction and first public hearing will be heard, but will not be voted upon at this meeting. Agenda items scheduled for second public hearing and final adoption will be voted upon tonight. Council members who may have a conflict of interest may abstain from voting on a matter, and the city clerk will provide the council members with the disclosure form at this time. First up, we have item A, miscellaneous items, bids, contracts, and resolutions. The first item under this section is 7A1, which is to adopt a notice of intention to increase water rates and set the date and time for the public hearing on proposed increases to January 13th, 2022 at 6 p.m. Council, any comments or discussion? Hearing none, can I have a motion to approve item 7A1?
So
Moved by Councilmember Cubie, do I have a second?
second.
Seconded by Councilmember Adams. Please vote.
Came off like chrome or something.
And that item passes 7-0. The next item under the section is to approve one-year contract renewals with Brintel Incorporated, Dubois Chemical Incorporated, Hill Brothers Chemical, Cam Group Incorporated, and Thatcher Company of Arizona Incorporated for the purchase of water treatment chemicals for the Municipal Utilities Department. Council, any comments or discussion? Hearing none, do I have a motion on item 7A2?
Motion to approve.
Moved by Councilmember Adams, do I have a second? Seconded by Councilmember Garland, please vote. And that item passes 7-0. Next item under the section is 7A3, which is to award 5-year contracts with one 5-year renewal option to Affiliated Engineers Incorporated, Information and Energy Services Incorporated, McKinstry Ascension LLC, and Wendell Energy Services LLC for building energy management consulting services. Council, any comments or discussion? Been moved by Councilmember Garland. Do I have a second? Seconded by Councilmember Arredondo Savage. Please vote.
Aye.
Okay, and Vice Mayor Keating?
I vote aye. I
Okay.
vote aye. My page isn't refreshing.
Okay, and that item passes 7-0. The next item under the section is 7A4, which is to award 2-year contracts with 2 4-year renewal options to Worldwide Technology LLC and ITP Consulting Incorporated, doing business as IT partners for Hewlett-Packard Enterprise computers, servers, and related enterprise products and services. Council, any comments or discussion? Hearing none, do I have a motion on item 7A4?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Adams. Do I have a second? Seconded by Councilmember Garland. Please vote. And that item passes 7-0. The next item under this section is 7A5, which is to award a construction contract to Felix Construction Company for the improvement and expansion, well number 6 GMP1 project located at 1417 East McKellips Road. Council, any comments or discussion on item 7A5? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Cubie. Do I have a second? Seconded by Councilmember Garland. Please vote. And that item passes 7-0. The last item under the section is 7A6, which is to award a construction contract to B&F Contracting Incorporated for the wastewater collection system rehabilitation 2021 project at 22 pipe segments and 82 manhole locations around the city. Very specific. Any comments or discussion on item 7A6? Moved by Councilmember Garland. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Adams. Please vote. And that item passes 7-0. The next section on the non-consent agenda is ordinances and items for introduction and first hearing. These items will be read and introduced tonight, but no vote will be taken. The second hearing and vote for these items is scheduled for December 9th, 2021. Item B, ordinances and items for introduction and first public hearing. The first item under the section is 7B1, which is to introduce and hold the first public hearing to adopt an ordinance amending the Tempe City Code, Chapter 13, regarding elections. Anyone from the audience wishing to address the City Council on this item? Madam Clerk, any requests to speak electronically from the public?
None, Mayor.
Okay, I'll close the public hearing. Council, any comments or discussion? Okay, I want to reiterate, the second and final public hearing on this item is scheduled for December 9th, 2021. The next item under the section is 7B2, which is to introduce and hold the first public hearing to adopt an ordinance for a zoning map amendment from CSS to MU3, a planned area development overlay, and a development plan review consisting of a new 3-story mixed-use development consisting of 75 dwelling units and commercial uses for Apache Rock Apartments, located at 1935 East Apache Boulevard. The applicant is Hewlett-Packard and Affiliates. Would the applicant like to make a statement?
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. You may have noticed I'm not Charles Hewlett-Packard. I'm Lauren Proper-Potter. We have a presentation prepared this evening if you'd like. I know it's kind of getting into a long evening for you all, so you'd like a presentation?
I just think for transparency.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay. Sounds good.
absolutely. I'm short enough, I can stand at it and it works, but
I have the
take
same
advantage
issue.
of the chair. Thank you, perfect. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. And I get to control my own PowerPoint? Okay, great, excellent. We'll
All
work
right,
together
Jason.
on this. All right, if you wouldn't mind moving along to the next slide, thank you. I'm sure you're all familiar with the area. This is along Apache Boulevard. It's by the famous Bob's Tire Corral, and it's also by the Apache substation, and there's a post office across the street. Would you move to the next slide for me, please? Thank you. We're in the TOD station area, actually, so we're very close to the light rail station here at Smith. Would you move to the next slide? Thank you. If you're familiar with the area, would you move along? Thanks. The project is currently it's not under construction, it's paused construction. There's been Partial construction completed, utilities are underground, the foundation's been poured. Would you move to the next slide for me? Thank you. And one more. Thanks a lot. So you can kind of see here what happened was the original project that was approved in 2019, it's kind of stalled. So the property owner is requesting some modifications to what was approved. It would allow an additional 23 units to be constructed here. And so that's the nature of this request. Would you go to the next slide? Thank you. So you can see we're working with the same footprint. Obviously, the foundation has been poured here. So what we've done, the proposal is to add 21 additional one-bedroom units and then to split 2 of the 2-bedroom units into additional one-bedroom units. Thank you. As part of the additional request, so the rezoning is to MU3. It accommodates a slight increase in the density that would be allowed here. Part of that request as well requires us to process a planned area development overlay, and that establishes some standards within the area. The previous project had a couple approved buildings. The maximum height was about 45 feet. We're proposing to add an additional story onto one of the existing buildings, and so that accommodates an increase in height. So it's about 1.5 feet extra. I think the request kind of bumps it up to 2 feet. Thank you. Here's a couple renderings, this, and then if you would go to the next one, thank you, of what the project would look like. Because it's mixed use, it accommodates a small commercial use. It's a coffee shop kind of planned area. And I believe that's the end of it. Would you mind? Thank you. Okay, great. Thank you very much. You did a great job. So much harder when you're not controlling your own slides. So we believe that these requests allow us to provide a project that's financially feasible. The project as it's approved right now, it's not going to get built. So this allows us to make a productive use of the site, and we respectfully request your approval of these items in a few weeks.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Any questions?
Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address the city council on this item? All right, seeing none, Madam Clerk, were there any comments or requests to speak really received electronically from the public?
Nothing received electronically, Mayor.
Okay, I will close the public hearing. Then, council, any comments or discussion? Yes, Councilmember Cubey?
So with increased height and density, are there any public benefits that will accrue to our
Oh,
residents?
Councilmember, microphone?
Whoops. I knew that. With increased height and density that you'd be granted by decision, are there any public benefits that will accrue?
So thank you, Councilmember Kuby. We believe that the public benefit would be that the project will be built as it is today. It's been standing for a couple years that way. It's currently just a vacant lot with a pad poured right now.
Okay. Any other public benefits you care to suggest besides that it's currently an eyesore? I mean, you're asking for increased height and density, right?
That's correct. That's the part of the request. You know, we believe that providing additional housing can be a benefit to the city as well. It'll add 23 units. So in terms of scale, it's not a very big project. It was approved at 52 units. We're proposing to go to 75. And we believe that the additional housing along the light rail would be a benefit to the community.
I know along the light rail transit-oriented development that a model would be affordable workforce housing, and this isn't that project. I know we at a late hour we got a submission of the Affordable Housing Impact Statement, the AHIS, which presumably, well, I think it was a new addition to your packet. And you do claim that there's some workforce elements, but typically when you claim workforce, you also put a coveted deed restriction. And so there's no term of workforce ability that you'll be applying to these rental rates?
That's not part of the plan right now, Councilmember Kuby, but we can always look into this. We have another hearing before you. We can come back and discuss that after we've had an opportunity to speak with the client.
Yeah, I would like to just explore that option since it is listed. I mean, I'm looking at the workforce for Apache and it sort of takes a claim of being workforce, but if it doesn't have a term, then it's just a temporary rent. We don't know it's going to stay workforce. And although you aren't required to do workforce, you are asking for increased height and density. So I would like to see further discussion on that.
Certainly understand your position.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Cubey. Any other council members' comments or discussion? Councilmember Arredondo Savage.
Awesome filling in. Good work. Oh, we'll make it, thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Garland. It's not even late. I don't have even a good excuse. Okay. No, I get it, and I appreciate what Councilmember Cubey said too, because I do think that's a really great area to really work on maybe some type of a workforce inclusion, because you're going to be dividing those 2 bedrooms into 1 bedrooms. You know, maybe there is an opportunity to kind of just look at, you know, the way that we're controlling that rent and see what that looks like. So that would be something that would be really important. I would certainly support. And then I knew there were some conditions that came from the DRC and through our staff. How do you feel about those? Or are you planning on incorporating those conditions of approval that are in the document?
We're in agreement with staff on the conditions of approval.
All of them, no problem?
Yes,
Okay,
thank
good.
you.
Thank you for that.
Excellent. Thank you, Councilmember Arredondo Savage. Any of the council members' comments or questions?
Thank you.
All right, hearing none. Thank you so much. The second and final public hearing on this item is scheduled for December 9th, 2021. The next item under the section is 7B3, which is to introduce and hold the first public hearing to adopt an ordinance for a planned area development and a development plan review for Generations Medical Center to increase landscaping and reduce the required parking for an existing 29,675 square foot medical office located at 6301 South McClintock Drive. The applicant is Gamage and Burnham PLC. Ms. Voss, would you like to make a statement?
Yes. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Such a pleasure to be here. For the record, my name is Manjula Voss, law firm of Gamage and Burnham, 2 North Central, Phoenix 85004. I am here today on behalf of Generations Medical Center and Moonshadow Properties. This, just a quick presentation. I think we've all been by the Generations Medical Center. Originally developed as a clinic in the 1980s. It's been remodeled as medical suites. It's currently zoned PCC, or Planned Community Use Commercial. Next slide, Jason. So our request today is actually just to hopefully assist in lowering the parking ratio that is required by code, taking care of an issue. The zoning code requires, in terms of medical office, a higher parking ratio than this site has currently and has had for some time. So we are asking for a PAD overlay to lower the parking ratio, and then we're going to do some, in part of a minor development plan review, we will be adding increased landscape improvements. And in terms of the building on site, there will be no changes to the building, no change to the existing medical use, and the current number of on-site parking spaces will remain the same as they've been since 2005, approximately. Here's a picture of the site. I think we're all aware of the location. Next slide. So again, our request is to reduce the required number of parking spaces. The code requires 198. Our request is to reduce it to 158. That is the current number of spaces on site. Proposed, with the parking reduction, we will improve the site with additional landscaping and some parking lot improvements. We had done some pre-pandemic parking analysis and determined the property is adequately parked. If you've been by the site, you've probably seen, in addition, that there is a lot of extra parking, and especially with the pandemic, there's been an increased demand for teleworking, which has reduced the amount of parking spaces needed. And so this reduction and this request will not adversely impact the surrounding property, since the property is currently parked and operating with 158 spaces. Next slide. This is just a picture of the parking demand that we've done, and you can see a parking demand at 7 on like the middle of July. There was, in terms of occupied spaces, it never got up to certainly the 158. Then 9/13, right after Labor Day, it was. We also did not get up to over close to 100 spaces, and so I think you'll see kind of that pattern continue over time. Next slide. In terms of landscape improvements, the conditions are we're doing 24 new trees, 84 new shrubs, and 219 accent plants. We'll increase the shade 5% from 16 to 21%. And of course, we know that's consistent with the city's goals regarding shade and conservation. And we'll help mitigate the urban heat island and provide for a more comfortable pedestrian environment. And we used a plant palette that is consistent with the Kiwanis Lakes Character Area Plan. So just to show you a little bit about the landscaping, you'll see, and I drive by this site a lot, try to increase a lot of the landscaping along McClintock, which has lost some of the plants, and then throughout the parking field. Next slide. And this just to show you a little history of the site. Originally, it was one tract, and over the years, next slide, Jason, it's kind of split into a couple of lots. Next slide, in 2005, it is in the shape it was in now. In the last slide, Jason. And so this is the current plat in 2006. This is the current kind of what we're talking about in terms of the parking area. That site has 158 spaces, and that's what the PAD applies to. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Ms. Boz. Really appreciate it. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address the City Council on this item? All right, Madam Clerk, any comments or requests to speak received electronically from the public?
None been received for this item, Mayor.
Okay, I will close the public hearing. Council, any comments or discussion?
I have a comment.
Yes, Councilmember Adams.
I just really appreciate the effort to reduce the parking. We need to continue to work on using public transportation and moving towards that direction. So thank you for incorporating that into this structure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Adams. Any of the council members' comments? Councilmember Cubie?
While you're improving the property, I mean, just looking at those maps and overheads, it's so clear that there should be solar shade in the parking lot that could also power the building. So if you could encourage your clients, I know that's not what we're talking about tonight, but encourage your clients to look at solar and look at the accelerated depreciation that's available for businesses. That to me is screaming solar covered parking. Thanks.
Mayor, Councilmember Kirby, I will certainly tell them that. I told them that when we saw them. So we talked about it. We'll talk about it.
Sounds good. Thank you, Councilmember Cubie. Any other council members' comments or questions? Councilmember Arredondo Savage.
Thank you, Ms. Voss. It's very nice to see you today.
Pleasure.
Just a question, and I know there's been some concerns from the adjacent neighbor, and I'm just wondering, have you all been able to sit down and have some conversations and some dialogue to get to a better place, or?
Mayor, Councilmember, the concerns are related to a plat and some dedications that took place prior to my client owning the site right now, and I think he's having conversations with the city staff about some of his concerns relating to the plat. But I don't think they're related to necessarily the PAD itself.
I like to think everything's related in the sense of always trying to be a really good neighbor.
Yes,
and making
no,
sure that
and
we
we
get to a
certainly
good
have-
place and try to resolve issues as we can, and especially if there's opportunity to do it through development or things that are happening. So I understand. I mean, I know things are working through the system, but I just want you to know that I know most of us are aware of the situation and would like to see some resolution. At
Yes.
least I would. So thank you for that.
Mayor, Councilmember Arredondo Savage, we would also like to, hopefully, we hope that this PAD will lead to a resolution.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you, Councilmember Arredondo Savage. Councilmember Navarro?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. No, it was just the same thing, just echoing what Councilmember Arredondo Savage said, just an opportunity to maybe help the situation out within that area.
Okay. Thank you, Councilmember Navarro. Anyone else? Comments or questions on this item?
Mayor,
Yes, Vice Mayor Keating.
thank you very much. Yeah, I just want to, I'm hearing an echo here from Tempe 11. I just want to echo Councilmember Arredondo Savage and Councilmember Navarro's point. Anything we can do to resolve any ongoing conflicts in the area would be my preference. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you, Vice Mayor Keating. Anyone else? Council, comments or questions? All right.
Good.
I'm going to go.
Thank you very much. We'll see you in December.
You got it. And with that said, yes, we will see you on December 9th, 2021, where the second and final public hearing will take place. The next item under the section is to introduce and hold the first public hearing to adopt an ordinance approving the conveyance of certain city-owned improved property at the addresses of 943 East Henry Street and 412 West Pebble Beach to the Tempe Coalition for Affordable Housing Incorporated, a nonprofit corporation otherwise known as the affiliate, and authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement to convey property, covenants, deeds, and other related documents necessary to effect such conveyance and related transactions. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address the City Council on this item? Madam Clerk, any requests to speak from the public?
No input for this item, Mayor.
Okay, I'll close the public hearing. Council, any comments or discussions on item 7B4? All right. Hearing none, the second and final public hearing on this item is scheduled for December 9th, 2021. The next item under the section is 7B5, which is to introduce and hold the first public hearing to adopt an ordinance authorizing the acquisition of the Agave Center, lot number 2, located at 1791 West Greentree Drive in Tempe, for city use, and authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute the related documents. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address the city council on this item? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, any comments or requests to speak from the public?
No input for this item, Mayor.
Okay, I will close the public hearing. Council, any comments or discussion? All right, the second and final public hearing on this item is scheduled for December 9th, 2021. The last item under this section is 7B6, which is to introduce and hold the first public hearing to adopt an ordinance authorizing the abandonment and sale of a portion of city right-of-way land along South Judd Street. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address the city council on this item? And I should say before, I should have said city right-of-way, not land, just right-of-way. Madam Clerk, any comments or requests to speak from the public?
None for this item, Mayor.
Okay, I'll close the public hearing. Council, any comments or discussion? All right. Second and final public hearing of this item is scheduled for December 9th, 2021. Next up, we have item 7C, which is ordinances and items for second hearing and final adoption. These items were introduced on October 14th, 2021. Votes on these items will be taken tonight. The first item under the section is 7C1, which is to hold the second and final public hearing to adopt an ordinance approving the conveyance of certain city-owned improved property at the addresses of 2237 East Maryland Drive, 1029 West 5th Street, Unit 102, 1055 West 5th Street, Unit 11, 1018 East Henry Street, 1024 East Henry Street, and 700 West University, Units A204, G105, H104, D205, E203, G203, and J204 to the Tempe Coalition for Affordable Housing Incorporated, a nonprofit corporation, and authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement to convey property, covenants, deeds, and other related documents necessary to effect such conveyance and related transactions. Anyone in the audience wishing to address the city council on this item? Madam Clerk, any comments or requests to speak from the public?
Nothing for this item, Mayor.
I will close the public hearing. Council, any comments or discussion?
Just one comment.
Yes.
Seems like Levon is taking over the entire city.
Yeah, that's what I feel too. I feel like this is part of Levon's very slow but steady plan to take over the entire city of Tempe, piece by piece. My house isn't for sale, Levon. And Levon, we're okay with that. All right, so anyone want to give me a motion to approve item 7C1?
I motion to approve.
Moved by Councilmember Adams. Do I have a second? Seconded by Councilmember Garland. Please vote. Mine is frozen again.
Yeah, mine's getting, I can't seem to do it either, it's frozen.
As we said, there might be technical difficulties, as in my mouse not working anymore, so. All right, you know what I'll go ahead and do? I vote aye. Councilmember QB?
Aye.
Okay, that item passes 7-0. The next item under the section is 7C2, which is to hold the second and final public hearing to adopt an ordinance amending and expanding Chapter 28 of the Tempe City Code concerning solid waste. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address the city council on this item? Madam Clerk, any comments or requests to speak received from the public electronically?
None for this item, Mayor.
All right, I'll close the public hearing. Council, any comments or discussion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Vice Mayor Keating and seconded by Councilmember Adams. Please vote. All right, and I vote aye as well. That item passes 7-0. Someday my mouse will work again. The next item under this section is 7C3, which is to hold the second and final public hearing to adopt an ordinance for a code text amendment within the Zoning and Development Code for annexation amendments consisting of changes in section 2-106. The applicant is City of Tempe. Would staff like to make a statement on this item? Okay. Anyone in the audience wishing to address the city council on this item? Madam Clerk, any comments or requests to speak from the public?
No input for this item, Mayor.
Okay, sounds good. Council, any comments or discussion? Been moved by Councilmember Garland. Do I have a second? Seconded by Councilmember Arredondo Savage. Please vote. There we go. Thank you, Councilmember Cube. Perfect. And with that, Councilmember Cube giving me some technical advice, that item passes 7-0. Thank you.
IT.
Sunny boy.
She's part of IT now.
Love you. The next item under this section is 7C4, which is to hold the second and final public hearing to adopt an ordinance to transfer unencumbered budget appropriation from the Community Development Department to the Economic Development Office. Anyone in the audience wishing to address the City Council on this item? Madam Clerk, any comments or requests to speak from the public?
No input for this item, Mayor.
Okay, I will close the public hearing. Council, any comments or discussion? Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Adams. Do I have a second? Seconded by Councilmember Garland. Please vote. And that item passes 7-0. The next item under the section is 7C5, which is to hold the second and final public hearing to adopt an ordinance to transfer unencumbered budget appropriation from the Financial Services Department General Fund to the Financial Services Department Workers' Compensation Fund and increase the related Fire Medical Rescue Department General Fund Interactivity Appropriation and Workers' Compensation Fund Interactivity Charge-Out Appropriation for the annual Municipal Firefighters Cancer Reimbursement Fund assessment. Anyone in the audience wishing to address the City Council on this item? Okay, any comments or requests to speak from the public, Madam Clerk?
No input for this item, Mayor.
Okay, I will close the public hearing.
Motion to approve.
Moved by Councilmember Adams. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Cubie. Please vote. That item passes 7-0. The next item under the section is 7C6, which is to hold the second and final public hearing to adopt an ordinance approving and authorizing the mayor to execute a lease agreement with Angels Baseball LP, a California limited partnership doing business as the Los Angeles Angels, a Major League Baseball club. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address the City Council on this item? Madam Clerk, any comments or requests to speak from the public?
No input for this item, Mayor.
Okay, I'll close the public hearing. Council, any comments or discussion on item 7C6? Okay, been moved by Councilmember Arredondo Savage. Do I have a second? Seconded by Councilmember Garland. Please vote. Let's see, Vice Mayor Keating? One more time. Vice Mayor Keating, are you there? Okay, that item passes 6-0 with Vice Mayor Keating absent. Next up is 7C7, which is to hold the second and final public hearing to adopt an ordinance to extend the Tempe anti-discrimination ordinance to cover discrimination based on hair texture and protective styles such as braids, locks, twists, and knots in employment, housing, and public accommodations. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address the City Council on this item? All right,
Mayor, can you hear me?
Yes, Vice Mayor Keating.
Just making sure so my computer shut off for a second.
Okay, I only missed you on one vote, but we're good. It passed anyway. So,
Oh, thank God.
exactly. All right, so any comments received from the public or requests to speak, Madam Clerk, on this item?
No input for this item, Mayor.
Okay, I will close the public hearing. Council, any comments or discussion? Councilmember Adams.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I want to thank Candace, Raven, Janet, and Sharon for being here tonight. As many of you know, the Crown Act stands for creating a respectful and open world for natural hair. I appreciate working with Mayor Woods to bring the Crown Act to our Human Relations Commission and African American Advisory Committee. Tempe is a welcoming, inclusive, and diverse city. It is important that we demonstrate our intolerance of racism and our protection of the natural hair by passing the Crown Act this evening. I appreciate hearing stories that have been shared about discrimination based on natural hair, and I am proud to support Tempe in becoming the second city in Arizona to pass protections for natural hair. Thank you, and I make a motion to approve.
Thank you so much. Let me see if there's a second on that motion. Seconded by Councilmember Garland. Any further comments or discussion?
Oh,
Councilmember Cubey?
just that I proudly vote yes, and I thank you, Mr. Mayor, for your leadership, and Councilmember Adams for your leadership, and the residents who brought this forward to our commissions. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, really appreciate it. Any further comments or questions? I'll just say the same thing. I wanted to thank Janet Hamlin and Candace Lindsay for all your work on this. Like, we're really proud to add this to Tempe's anti-discrimination ordinance. And I know I mentioned this during the first public hearing, but the great thing about this is the anti-discrimination ordinance was not meant to be something that was just simply passed a few years ago that then just sort of sat statically. It really is a living, breathing document, and as we come to learn more and realize that we need to take even further steps to protect everyone in our community, to make sure that we know that they are welcome here, we are so glad to take these steps and really appreciate residents bringing these items forward to make sure that we're a more inclusive, welcoming community to everyone who wants to be here or work here. So thank you so much. Really appreciate you. Thank you. All right, and with that, let's vote. And that item passes unanimously 7-0. Next up here, now item 8, current events, council announcements, and future agenda items. I'm going to call upon the council members for their comments. I'm going to start with Councilmember Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do have some announcements this evening. Over the weekend, we had a great celebration at Tempe Beach Park, celebrating Tempe's 150th birthday party. And we are fortunate that council got to participate in unveiling the time capsule from 25 years ago. And we selected items to go in the time capsule for the next generation to uncover. The item I selected was from TCAA, which included a dress worn by Guadalupe Hernandez Esquar and hat worn by Jenny Norton, daughter of Barbara Norton. In 1966, Lupe and Barbara launched Operation Grassroots in La Victoria, a section known as Victory Acres in Tempe. In 1971, Operation Grassroots became the nonprofit Tempe Community Action Agency. Today, TCAA remains steadfast in its mission to alleviate poverty, hunger, and homelessness, impacting the lives of more than 38,000 adults and children every single year. Thank you for your incredible submission. My second announcement is Second Sundays on Mill. I'm very excited about the Second Sundays on Mill starting up on November 14th. If you'd like to soak up this great weather, finally, this event is for you. We're going to have live music, craft vendors, arts, games. I can't wait to attend. So I really encourage everyone to come on down. And then finally, this is the last official council meeting before Thanksgiving, and I just wanted to wish everyone a happy and safe Thanksgiving. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Adams. Next up, Councilmember Arredondo Savage.
Just what I'm glad Councilmember Adams brought up our 150th celebration. I think it was really great that we all had an opportunity to work with different agencies to put things in the time capsule. And I thought it was kind of interesting when we reached out to the school district. The one thing that they said that they really came by and that was really kind of challenging for them was mask wearing and COVID. And so that's what they wanted to put into the time capsule. So you know what? I was more than happy to put mine in right there with them. So anyway. So thank you for doing that, and Mayor, it was a really great day, and thank you to everybody that participated to put that event together, because if you didn't have an opportunity to go, it was like a week-long event, and it was pretty awesome, and a lot of really great things that just really celebrated the things that we've done over the years and where we are today. But of course, one of the things that I just want to say really quick is just thank you to our veterans. Veterans Day is coming up, and I want to say thank you to all the veterans that have served, those that are getting ready to serve, and to the families and the loved ones that continue to support our military, the ones that are currently serving now, and our veterans who have served. It is really, truly, we talk about needing that support, and and encouragement. And when you serve, you don't serve alone. And whether we're serving in the military or we're serving here, we always do appreciate the people that are around us, and that truly makes us better and gives us the ability to do what we do. So just thank you to all the veterans, and especially thank you to our Tempe family veterans, our employees that continue to serve right here for our community. You definitely make this community a better place, and I'm so grateful to be serving next to you and look forward to serving you breakfast tomorrow morning. So with that, thank you, Mayor.
So thank you, Councilmember Arredondo Savage. Next up, Councilmember Garland.
Thank you. And I want to say thank you also to our veterans. And that was the nicest slide I've ever seen. Great job on that slide. So the first thing that I want to bring up in my information is the Tempe Center for the Arts is having on November 20th an Indigenous Arts Festival. And it's from 10:30 to 5 p.m. And there are going to be multiple music, dancing, art things that you can do. There's going to be somebody coming in there and teaching you how to do hoop dancing and lots of different things. So it'll be a great thing for all ages. If anybody is interested in going, if you'd like more information, go onto the City of Tempe's website and then click on the calendar, and it'll give you lots of other information. And this is not part of this slide, and I don't have a slide for this, but I just want to remind you that Tempe Center for the Arts had a great program called 48 Live, and it's continuing. It was so much fun going there and listening on the other night to the music that they have. And if you look on the calendar, they're going to continue this live local music called 48 Live. You can also look at that on the calendar or go to the Tempe Center for the Arts site, and it is really wonderful. So I just want to add that too. All right, the next slide is we have, Richard Atkins, I have kind of figured out that he doesn't need me anymore when he does these Exploring the Urban Forest, because he is really, really popular. And I think probably after this next one, he is probably going to be able to do these on his own. But he's going to be talking about on November 18th from 5:30 to 6:30, we're going to have a virtual gathering to talk about the winter planting and tree care. And he will give a little bit of information at the beginning and then answer questions. So if you guys would like to participate, you can go to tempe.gov, click on the calendar, and it'll take you to this information. So it's going to be lots of fun. So, and Richard is wonderful. And then the last slide that I had, I didn't give you a slide? Okay. We were going to try to get you a slide, but I at least just do the announcement. I was invited to speak at Wagner Elementary School this morning to their second grade class. They wanted to get some information and just talk to me a little bit about the Native American Heritage Month. But the other thing that they did, they just finished a unit on government and citizenship. And so we had a really fun discussion. And I just want to say thank you so much to my friend and the teacher, Kelly Robb, for inviting me and bringing all the second graders together. And darn, we don't have the picture because they were so darn cute. Anyway, I just want to tell them, Wagner Elementary School, thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilmember Garland. Next up, Vice Mayor Keating.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I also just want to wish all of our veterans, past, present, and future, a happy Veterans Day. Thank you so much for your service to our country. I also want to wish all Tempeans and everyone around the world celebrates anyway, a very happy Thanksgiving. And I want to go on public record to say I am very thankful for my colleagues and staff.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Keating. Appreciate it. Next up, Councilmember Cubie.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tempe equal pay, we've had a lot of attention paid to that tonight. And our salary negotiations, the workshops are resuming November 16th, 11 a.m. or 5:30 p.m. If you live, work, play, just happen to pass through Tempe, please sign up for this interactive negotiation workshop. They're so impactful to the people that have experienced them, and it's why our equal pay program is considered the best of its kind in the USA. And Councilmember Arredondo Savage, I'm full of compliments for you tonight, but you helped create that program, so thank you so much, and it keeps growing, and we're so proud of that. Anyway. It's just great to see the negotiation workshops back with us. And as long as we're talking about the sesquicentennial, I do want to mention I was approached to get something from ASU. And so I approached Julie Ann Wrigley Global Institute, the Global Futures Laboratory. Can't even get the name of my own workplace. And there's a fellow named Klaus Lochner. Remember that name. He heads up the Center for Negative Carbon Emissions. And so ASU contributed a small vial of captured carbon taken from a mechanical tree that absorbs carbon unlike any other tree you'd believe, and has these sort of cloth leaves. I'll call them leaves for lack of a better word. They don't really look like leaves. And they absorb carbon, and the carbon is taken off the leaves, liquefied, and turned into energy. And this is done without the use of any other energy. It's an amazing, amazing technology, and it may actually change the outcome of our climate crisis. And just want to read one stirring last paragraph because it moved me. They wrote, "We hope that when this capsule is opened, that the crises we face today are no longer your challenges, and that the work of the Global Futures Laboratory and our network of partners, including the residents of the city of Tempe, allow the human species, along with all other inhabitants of our planet, to thrive." So that was kind of a heady thing to read. I'm just so proud that we have this most innovative university right smack in the middle of our city and are really contributing to solutions that may impact the entire world. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Cubie. Next up, Councilmember Navarro.
Thank you, Mayor. Actually, I was just really impressed with Councilmember Kubi's presentation on the carbon tree. So, thank you for sharing. In addition, I want to say Happy Veterans Day, Happy Thanksgiving. I also wanted to let everyone know we had a great coffee talk last Wednesday, talking about the accreditation and de-escalation of policing within the coffee talk. It was a great presentation by PD and what they're doing with training and how they're continuing the training to help their officers understand better techniques and way to handle situations, and then also how we're incorporating the potential of other citizens to help out with our de-escalation program, counseling and things like that. But that's more to come. And it's really hard to talk on this phone because it's an echo constantly. So I'll leave it at that. And thank you for listening to me.
Great. Thank you, Councilmember Navarro. Councilmember Adams, you have one other announcement?
Yes, I also want to wish everyone happy Veterans Day and give my father, who is a captain in the Army, a special shout out. I think he's watching this evening. So happy Veterans Day, Dad, and to all those who have served and continue to serve in our country. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I also just wanted to say thank you as well to all of our veterans who have served our country and who are currently serving or preparing to serve. Also, a shout out to the two veterans on our city council here, Councilmember Arredondo Savage and Vice Mayor Keating. Just wanted to really say thank you publicly for your service. And of course, to my brother, Brandon Woods, who's currently living in Virginia. I thank you for your service as well, and I'm looking forward to seeing you at some point during the holidays. Also, just wanted to say happy Thanksgiving to everyone. I know it's kind of exciting after spending so much time at home. I know travel's beginning to open up again and families are beginning to gather. And I can tell you, I am extraordinarily appreciative of the ability to see family, friends, and neighbors again in a much more traditional way. And I'm sure that goes for everyone on this council. So I'm just even more thankful this year just for the opportunity to see the people that I love, because I know for the last couple of years or so, a lot of us haven't had those opportunities, quite honestly. So I think it's very important, if you can, to spend some time with your family and friends and neighbors over the holidays. And if you can, if you're comfortable, give them a big hug. So. Next up, item number 9, public appearances. This is the additional public comment session at the end of this meeting that'll last for up to 60 minutes. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the city council? And if so, please come forward, state your name and city of residence for the record. Yes, please. Please state your name, city of residence, and you have up to 3 minutes.
Is here fine or?
Right by the microphone?
Okay. Should I sit down or?
Yes, please. Sure. Just so the audience at home can hear you.
Oh, okay, sure. Hi, my name is Summer Baker. I reside in Tempe currently, and I've been here most of my life. And I just started coming to these meetings. They're very informative, so I really appreciate you all doing all your work that you do. I just had a question. I don't really know much about it, but I kind of want to know what the thought process was behind approving the lease agreement for the Angels. When I went through it, it seemed like the city is giving about 40 million versus their 10. And we're also going to be providing most of their workers for that deal as well. So I'm just kind of wondering, like, what was the deciding factor on it? Is it bringing revenue into the city, or is it like a glam project for the city, but yeah, that's it.
Sure. One of the things I think that might be really helpful is our Community Services Director, Keith Burke, is in the back, who's the one who negotiated that contract along with Craig Hayton, his deputy. He can definitely give you all sort of the interesting facts and factoids about that whole thing. So if anyone else wants to address it, you definitely are more than welcome to, but I figure Keith is the most knowledgeable person in this building when it comes to the fine details of that contract and why it got unanimous support from the council.
Okay, sure.
Councilmember Cubie.
So I know we're not allowed to really talk about it, but I do want to say, could you write to council communicator at tempe.gov, because then we can individually respond to you
Oh, sure.
with the reasons why we supported it.
Yeah.
We can't talk about it right now because of the.
Well, technically, I mean, this
Oh, we
was on
can?
the agenda this
Oh,
evening, so yeah,
right.
you can if you want to.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, confused. Yeah, I mean, I support it because case is made pretty strongly in that revenue that would be brought back in by the deal would way more than surpass what we're investing. And it's such a revenue generator, not, well, for the region. We shouldn't just be concerned about the region, though. We need to be concerned about Tempe. But it brings so much in tourism dollars and in economic development and in charitable dollars, actually, for the city. And so that's what made my mind up.
Okay. It just, I think when I looked at it too, there was about, in 2018, $40 million were projected that had been brought in. So we would be giving 40.9. So that's a little bit more than kind of what we're projected to make in the revenue. So but thank you for commenting. Thank you.
Yeah, Councilmember Arredondo Savage.
I appreciate you being here and asking the tough questions, right? I mean, that's what you're supposed to do. I think hold us accountable for the decisions that we make and what's going on in the city. So I appreciate the question. I too agree with Councilmember Cubie in the sense of the value that this partnership brings and the fact that they've been in our city for so many years. So not only is it just about money generations, but also generating that money for our nonprofits, which is really nice too, to be able to see that go back. But a great partnership with another one of our community partners is the Tempe Diablos. And, you know, it'd be really wise to learn a little bit about what the Tempe Diablos do and their history within the Diablo Stadium and their commitment, not only to the city, but also to the Angels has been a very positive one. But also it gives us a destination location too. So when we talk about dollars coming in, it's about tourism and it's about people wanting to come to Tempe and having the ability to connect our downtown and people going to the restaurants and then going over to enjoy a game. So there is a lot of benefit outside of that you probably just don't see in those fine lines. And so hopefully if you have a little conversation or more specific questions, I'm sure, you know, Keith and his team can kind of help you explain that to me. But I believe, to me, it's even above dollars. And I think we have to look at what the value, the organization, the partnership brings to our community. And for me, it's always been a very positive experience. And there's so much that goes into having a stadium that has been there for I don't know how many years, Keith, that always needs maintenance and updating. And then you got to kind of try to compete with all the other stadiums too across the state. And we want to make sure that we are giving people that come to visit a really great experience, including the team that has been our partner for many, many years. So I'm always more than happy to support it and realize that maybe when it comes to the contract, it might be a little convoluted, but I wouldn't support something that I didn't think was a benefit for the city overall. Sure. Yeah. So thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Mayor.
That's good. Absolutely. Thank you, Councilmember Arredondo Savage. Councilmember Cubie.
Can I say one more thing? And this is maybe a request for staff or Andrew. I think it's important, and you bring up really good questions, and we have to be very transparent to have a fact sheet that we could post online that would explain the economic benefit analysis, the return on investment that we see with this continued investment in the stadium.
I completely agree with that suggestion.
And thank you, because I
That
would
would
have
be
thought of
really-
it if it weren't for you.
That would be really beneficial for sure. Thank you.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Appreciate the question. Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to address the City Council this evening? All right. Hearing none, we are adjourned at 7:20 p.m. Council, we have to go back upstairs and finish an executive session. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great night and happy Veterans Day.